Welcome back to Boomer's Playground, and today we'll be going over coding exercise 26 from the Colt Steele Web Developer Bootcamp. So this one is just another array exercise. This one is going to kind of reiterate the thing that I said about using const for arrays, even though a lot of people start by using let, and that's fine because you were told that if you want to change a value, you need to use let. So if you in the last video, if you decided to use let to create that const, I would say you're following along properly. The reason I say that is up until that point, or up until I explained it to you, you were told if you need to change a value, it can't be a const. So that means you listened, that means you did the right thing. Now, with that out of the way, there's little small bits to this. Always use const for arrays and objects. But if you chose let, you did the right thing. That means you were listening. You did make the proper choice with the information you had available to you. So, all right. So this one, they've already given us an array. There's 4 strings without touching line 1. They want us, they misplaced the second name on the leaderboard. They meant to write Luna instead of Lua. Replace it with Luna. Again, you can't just fix it in this line. So let's think about this for a second. How do we get access to something? So I'm not sure if you guys watched the video a couple videos ago with the ands, and it had like the mystery at 0 equals P. And what did we decide? The bracket 0 was. Well, that's going to be the first item in the array, right? So if that's 0, well, I mean, logically, this should be 1. So let's copy our leaderboard here and let's find out. So we have leaderboard 0. That's Harry like we expected. And now we have Lua, and that's who we need to replace. So, and again, this might be a little weird because, you've been under the assumption that if something is a const, you can't change it. And with arrays, it's just a teeny tiny bit different. Again, we just can't reassign the variable name. That's really it. So if leaderboard 1 or leaderboard bracket or index of 1 is going to give us that Lua, I mean, realistically, to change it, we just set it equal to what we want, right? So like if we want Luna instead of Lua, what does leaderboard look like now? And oh crap, you'll see that we were able to grab that item and we just said, hey, we actually want it to be this. And it let us, even though it's a const, it still let us, which is awesome. Okay, well, so we got the first part done. That was pretty easy. And then Bellatrix has fallen off the leaderboard and has been replaced by Draco. So please update the last element so that it holds Draco instead of Bellatrix. Well, I mean, we figured out how to do it with this guy. We might as well try the same thing. So we have leaderboard. So 1 was Lua. That's Hermione. I think that's one of the... So I don't watch Harry Potter, so sorry if I mispronounced the names. All right, so that's the wrong guy. Okay, so we have Bellatrix. Perfect. That's what we want. And we want it to be Draco, according to the article up there. So, all right. And I'll be darned. So we have Luna there, and we have Draco instead of Bellatrix. So this should satisfy the test. So let's try it. And then I have one thing I want to show you guys as well. So what did we say? It was 1. Now we want Luna, and then it is leaderboard. What was it? 3, and it's going to be Draco. Let's see if that passes. And it does. Awesome. We are amazing programmers. Great job, guys. So I do want to go over one quick thing, and mainly because of the wording of this. So it says Bellatrix has fallen off the leaderboard and has been replaced by Draco. Please update the last element. So what you're going to run into a lot is, you might have a leaderboard like this, and let's say you don't know, like let's say you build an online game. You don't know how many people are going to be playing that game, right? And sure, there are certain ways to get it, But what you'll see a lot of times is if you want to get the last item of an array, it's actually pretty easy. So let's see, result leaderboard. If I spell it right, we might. All right, leaderboard. Okay, so we still do have this. So we know we have a dot length, and that'll give us 4. And that will always give us 1 more than the last index of an array. And again, that's because it's the human readable. If you were to give this to anybody and ask how many things were in there, they would go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's fine. And that's why dot length gives us that 4 number. But for us computer scientists or programmers or engineers or devs or whatever you want to call yourself, we start counting at 0. So if you gave this to me and you're like, oh, how many, I'd be like, oh, well, there's 4 things, but it's 0, 1, 2, 3. There's still 4 things in there, but we're starting to count at 0. So if I'm letting you know that dot length will always be, and like I'm saying always, it will be 1 more than the last index of an array. So what you can do is, let's say Bellatrix comes back. What you'll see more often than, we could still just do, Bellatrix and change it like that. But what you'll more often see is leaderboard.length -1. And again, if dot length gives you 1 more than the last index of an array, all we have to do is just -1, and we now know what that last index is without having to hard code that number in there. So for this exercise, kind of whatever, but you're going to get to a point where you have these huge, large data sets, or you're possibly not going to know how many items are in that array, but you still need to get the last one or the first one or, something along those lines. And so, you'll see we switched it back to Bellatrix. So you will see this a lot. Array name dot length -1. You'll see that a lot in for loops because, again, dot length gives us 1 more than the last index, so we need to adjust for that. Otherwise, we'll get an error. So like if we did leaderboard 4, which is the dot length, we get undefined because there is no 4th index on this array. So that wasn't super germane to, this exact exercise, but it's something that you're going to see a lot, and I just wanted to make you guys aware of it. So let's just make sure that passes as well, and it does. So this is more likely what you'll see, but again, small thing like this, we knew it was 3, no big deal, but you'll see this more. So I hope you guys learned something today. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next exercise.